Amitabh Bachchan, the voice, the glare, the legend who turned rebellion into poetry and made an entire nation believe that the wronged man could fight back and win. But beyond the screen, behind that thunderous baritone and the immaculate suits, lives a quieter, deeper truth. Two children who grew up while the world watched their father become larger than life. One child chose quiet, almost defiant privacy. The other walked straight into the fire of expectation, carrying a surname that weighed a ton. This is not the story of the superstar. This is the untold story of his children, and how they learned to live with a legacy that never turns off. One child stepped back from the light. The other was thrown into it. But the way they both answered that pressure will surprise you. The Shadow and the Crown, Amitabh's legacy. Before we talk about the children, you have to feel the scale of the father. Amitabh Bachchan's rise wasn't smooth, it was inevitable. Early on, he heard no more times than any actor of his era. Too tall, too deep a voice, too intense. Then the 1970s happened. Zanjeer, Diwar, Sholai, and a new archetype was born. The angry young man, the face of frustration, the sound of justice. Fame stopped being a spotlight and became a weather system that followed him everywhere. But the weather can turn. In 1982, during an action scene on Coolie, Amitabh suffered a near-fatal injury. For a moment, the unimaginable happened. He was declared clinically dead before doctors dragged him back from the brink. The country prayed, the family held its breath, and two children learned early what it meant to watch the world's strongest man fight for his life. Fate tested him again in the late 90s. His company, ABCL, collapsed, debts mounted, and even the family home was at risk. Imagine the stress in that household, the whispers, the headlines, the vultures. Then, in 2000, a pivot that rewrote television history and resuscitated a career. Kaun Banega Crorepati. The quiz show host in a tux became every living room's weeknight ritual, and Amitabh engineered one of the most famous comebacks in Indian entertainment. And through it all, every Friday release, every Sunday fan gathering outside Jalsa, he kept a ritual. Step out, wave, greet, and let people feel seen. For over 4 decades, he has met fans at the gate, a ceremony of gratitude that the family learned to protect. Even now, he blogs about it, tweaks timing when crowds feel subdued, and treats it like a sacred promise. That's not just stardom, that's stewardship, the times of India. But how do children grow in a house where Sunday feels like a public holiday and your front gate is a pilgrimage site? That's where our story turns. Shweta Bachchan Nanda, the daughter who chose quiet. Here's the twist no one expected. The daughter of Amitabh and Jaya, two people who defined Hindi cinema, wanted none of the movie business. Shweta Bachchan Nanda grew up inside history, paparazzi outside, fan letters stacked like newspapers, magazine covers where her parents were treated less like artists and more like the nation's favorite myth. And yet, as the world begged for her debut, Shweta chose a lane that didn't need applause. She wrote, she observed, she carved a voice. Shweta became a columnist for DNA and Vogue India, and in 2018 she published her debut novel, Paradise Towers, a slice-of-life look at apartment block dramas that felt intimate and familiar to urban India. The reviews were mixed, the sales were strong, and the point was unmistakable. She didn't need a movie to be heard. That same year, she launched MXS, a fashion label co-founded with designer Manisha Jaising. Sleek silhouettes and statement pieces that fit right into Mumbai's cocktail hour ecosystem. It wasn't Bachchan merch. It was Shweta's taste, her curation, her control. And then came a rare on-camera moment that said a lot. A Kalyan Jewelers film where she appeared with her father. Not a star launch, not a film promo, a father-daughter story about trust, anchored by familiarity rather than fame. She didn't chase the camera, she let the camera come to her on her terms. But Shweta's true center isn't any of that. It's family. She married Nikhil Nanda of the Kapoor Nanda industrial lineage, tying together two storied houses, Bachchan and Kapoor, without ever letting the public turn her living room into headlines. She's the mother of two, Navya Novelli Nanda and Agastya Nanda. Navya launched What the Hell Navya, a multi-generational podcast with her mother and grandmother, Jaya Bachchan. 3 women, 3 perspectives, a living room turned into a brave, funny, honest conversation about modern India. Agastya took a different path. He stepped into films with The Archies, 2023, a Netflix musical that reimagined Riverdale in 1960s India. And yes, the premiere crowd looked like a seating chart of contemporary Bollywood. He continues forward with Ikkis, a Sriram Raghavan-directed war drama slated for release on October 2nd, 2025. The grandson of the Shahanshah now writes his own chapter. Shweta's mini-hook is subtle but powerful. She chose to guard her peace in a house built by performance. She didn't reject legacy, she edited it. She refused to be launched. She wanted to be read, not rated. And if you listen closely, you can hear Amitabh's pride in that decision, because defiance in this family takes many forms. But the other child, he didn't have the luxury of silence. Abhishek Bachchan, the son who carried the surname. Imagine debuting as Abhishek while the world insists on seeing Amitabh Jr. That's not a first step, that's a climb. Abhishek's start in Refugee, 2000, came with impossible expectations. Early films stumbled. The media sharpened its pencil. Every Friday was a referendum on the family. Comparisons weren't just frequent, they were the headline. And yet, 2004 rewrote the narrative. You've proved he had dramatic heft. Doom lit the box office fuse and gave him swagger in a commercial space that wasn't borrowed from his father. Then Guru, 2007, arrived, an arc of ambition and grit that critics and audiences embraced. And Abhishek stood up, not as somebody's son, but as a leading man with his own center of gravity. The personal life was just as epic. An engagement called off, a love story with Aishwarya Rai that became the wedding of the decade, and then fatherhood, Aradhya. Suddenly the family tree had a new heartbeat, one that would turn Amitabh into Nana, the doting grandfather. Abhishek's career, like any long career, has had peaks and pauses. On streaming, he reinvented himself with Breathe, Into the Shadows, a dark psychological thriller that tested his range across 2 seasons. He took risks with Bob Biswas, surprised in Ludo, re-energized with Dasvi, and coached a comeback in Goomer that reminded people he can find vulnerable grace under pressure. The lesson of Abhishek is stamina. Keep showing up. Keep adjusting the sails. But the most intriguing chapter may live outside the movies, on the mat and the pitch. Abhishek owns the Jaipur Pink Panthers in the Pro Kabaddi League, the team that won the inaugural 2014 title and lifted the trophy again in 2022. He's also a co-owner of Chennaiyin FC in the Indian Super League, a club with 2 ISL crowns and a fan base that bleeds blue. And yes, an Amazon docu-series, Sons of the Soil, follows his Kabaddi team's grind. The sweat, the strategy, the heartbreak, which means Abhishek isn't just performing success, he's building it. Here's the uncomfortable question the media loves to ask. Did he ever escape the shadow? The truth is better than the question. He learned to live with the shadow, to laugh at the noise, to be a teammate at Chennaiyin, a mentor at Jaipur Pink Panthers, a working actor who understands that some seasons are for surprise hits and some are for retooling your swing. The surname didn't crush him, it forged him. And still, the story isn't complete without the kitchen table view. What did it feel like to grow up with millions at your gate? The house called Jalsa, family above fame. Inside those gates, the world calls Jalsa. Sundays are choreography. The fans line up. The patriarch steps out. He waves, sometimes signs, always acknowledges. Then the door closes and the public spectacle becomes private ritual. Tea, teasing, leg pulling, a grandfather on the floor with his granddaughter, festival lights that make the living room look like a film set, and a mother, Jaya, who famously speaks straight from the heart. This family is public by profession and private by choice. Every member knows which moments are for Instagram and which ones are not. If you follow the threads closely, you'll see how each person holds a part of the family's center. Shweta is the sentinel of quiet, sharp, understated, fiercely loyal. Abhishek is the bridge, actor, producer, sports entrepreneur, husband, father, constantly translating fame into work. Aishwarya brings discipline and polish. Aradhya brings chaos and charm. Navya expands the conversation with a mic in her hand. Agastya grabs a script and tries to live up to a surname without being trapped by it. It's a relay race, values passed down, not just the last name. And at the core is a simple rule they learned watching The Hardest Years: love first, protect always, titles come and go, rituals remain. But that wasn't the whole story. If you really want to understand the untold, you have to see how each child chose a different answer to the same question. 2 answers to one question. Question: What do you do when your father is a living institution? Shweta's answer: subtract the noise, find your own medium, columns, a novel, a label, and treat visibility like a dimmer, not a switch. Be present for the family, but don't let the industry decide who you are. That takes a different kind of courage, the courage to walk away from the obvious path. She chose to invest in her children, her writing, and her small circle of trust, proving that sometimes the boldest act is silence. Abhishek's answer: embrace the noise, use it as training weight, fail publicly, adjust publicly, succeed publicly, build things that outlast a Friday, clubs, teams, a docuseries, a locker room culture, and let your career be a long game where the win is measured in years, not weekends. He learned to carry ridicule as casually as applause, to take the name Bachchan not as a shortcut but as a test, and to still walk onto every set as though the story was just beginning. Neither answer is right or wrong. They're just true to the person who chose them. And that's the line running quietly through this family. Legacy is not a script, it's a set of tools. What you build with them is up to you. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson the Bachchans give us, that a famous surname isn't destiny. It's only the starting line, the hidden moments. Here are the moments that don't trend, but explain everything. There's Shweta's lyrical tribute in Vogue years ago, her voice folding father into language, not stardom. There's Navya bringing 3 generations of Bachchan women to one table and using their last name to talk about first principles, safety, ambition, what it means to take up space. There's Agastya's first premiere night, Smile a Little Too Careful, and Amitabh watching the screen with the same intensity he reserves for his own films, his eyes carrying pride and a hint of relief. There's Abhishek on the kabaddi bench, no sunglasses, no star barrier, just a team owner muttering set plays, hugging a raider who blew the last move, and riding the bus home after an away loss, because that's what teams do. There's Chennai playing a gritty final under floodlights while he claps like any other fan, and later standing with his players, beaming, because work that demands sweat tastes different when it pays off. And there's Amitabh, weeks into the KBC season, still nervous, still humble, telling a contestant to respect the Kursi, not him. The myth is real. So is the man. And if you look closely, you'll see those nerves not as weakness, but as reverence, for the show, for the platform, for the audience who kept him alive during his hardest fall. And threaded through all of this is Jaya, the matriarch who can disarm a room with a sentence, the one who held vigil in the hospital in 1982 and later watched her husband reinvent the idea of a senior career on television. The one who sits beside her daughter and granddaughter on a podcast and lets the world hear what 3 generations of Bachchan women sound like when they disagree with love, and when she smiles in those rare candid photos, it feels less like celebrity and more like the anchor of a dynasty reminding the world, fame fades, but family endures. Where they are now. Shweta continues to live mostly offline, a column here, a fashion drop there, a rare ad film when the story is right, but the spine is unchanged. Write, curate, protect. She is the guardrail of the family's privacy, and the first phone call when the group chat gets noisy. Paradise Towers sits on the shelf, not as a flex, but as proof. She built her own door and walked through it. Her role is quiet but essential, the kind of presence that doesn't need applause to hold the center. Abhishek keeps evolving. On screen, he slips between mainstream and streaming. Off screen, he grows what he owns. Jaipur Pink Panthers chase form and finals. Chennai FC refreshes for new seasons and new managers. The dock cameras come and go, but the locker room remains. He understands something the industry often forgets. Longevity is a team sport. And slowly, he's reframed his narrative. From the son of a superstar to a man balancing films, sports, and fatherhood with a calm that only comes from scars earned. Navya is building a media voice with the kind of topics that make dinner tables squirm. Agastya has moved from teen musical nostalgia to a war drama helmed by one of India's finest genre directors. Different lanes, same engine. Both are proof that the Bachchan surname is still evolving, still writing chapters beyond cinema's golden age. And Aradhya, the child of 2 global faces, grows up in a house that knows the cost of attention and the value of boundaries. If the family has its way, she'll learn the same lesson her aunt learned long ago. Fame is a tool, not oxygen. She's already a reminder that legacies aren't about pressure, they're about possibility. The world knows Amitabh Bachchan as the Shahanshah, the angry young man who refused to bow. But in the rooms that matter, around the table, by the puja shelf, on the sofa during a Sunday match, he is simply Papa. The measure of that role isn't trophies or TRPS, it's the choices his children made. Shweta, who proved that a life in the arts doesn't demand a spotlight. Abhishek, who demonstrated that a great surname is not a shortcut. It's a weight you learn to carry with grace. Together, they teach a quieter truth. Legacy isn't what you inherit, it's what you preserve, what you build, and what you protect for the ones who come after you. And that, perhaps, is the real untold story. The one that never makes headlines because it's happening in a house where Sunday belongs to the crowd, but family still owns the week. If this story pulled you in, don't stop here. Subscribe for more untold journeys of famous families, the quiet choices, the heavy crowns, the victories that don't fit in a headline. Tell me in the comments, which celebrity family should we unpack next? And if you're ready to keep going, cue up our next untold story on your end screen. Because once you hear one family's hidden chapter, you start to see them everywhere.